the sails of the sea are over the wild briny pool. For the ocean and different sails upon high is just like a bird on the wing. And when the shadows of evening draw nigh, still sails to thy window and see. Come take a trip in my airship. Come take a sail on the stars. Come have a ride around Venus. Come have a spin around Mars. No one to watch while we're busy. No one to see while we school. Come take a trip in my airship and we'll visit the man in the moon.
Greetings, loyal airmen, and hey, welcome to the 70th episode of the Airship 27 podcast, our December and Christmas show. I'm your co-host, Captain Ron Fortier, and joining me as ever digitally and obviously attired in the proper uniform, Chief Engineer, ho, 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 Rob Davis.
Hello, and welcome to Airship 27 podcast number 70. Another hour of madcap mischief from the Airship 27 crew.
I should get one of those hats because it probably keep my head warm during the cold winter months.
Unfortunately, with these backgrounds, the little puff disappears, but that's
well, it's a magic hat. What do you want?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Oh, Lord in heaven. We're getting into the holiday season big time, amigo, and it's easy to tell things are getting hectic. Thank God the vaccine is out. A happy Christmas gift for all of us, amen. And slowly making its way, as you know, we've been predicting. Here in Colorado, they're giving it to doctors and nurses across the state.
absolutely. Those people should get it first. Absolutely.
Oh, amen. And then from them, first responders, and work their way down. I'm expecting being in that senior group that maybe it'll be another few months before my wife Valerie and I see it. But that's
same
fine.
here.
Until
Same
then, we're going to continue doing what we've been doing all along, wearing our masks, social distancing, and staying safe. But hey,
washing those hands.
yep, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, loyal airmen, a real one. And our hearts and prayers, thank you to all the hardworking researchers over the last year who've really sweated bullets to make this happen. All right, hey, look, we're getting ready. Let's do this again. Last show of the year of 2020. So, hey, Rob gets to start the first bad joke of the show, and I bet it's a theme joke. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, this one's not a Christmas theme. Well, it could be if I changed it a little, but it's close. But anyway, okay. A mother, much against her better judgment, finally gave in and bought the children a dog with the understanding that they would take care of it. They named the dog Laddie. It wasn't long before the responsibility fell to the mother, and she found that she was taking care of the dog all by herself. Since the children did not live up to their promise, she decided to sell Laddie. So one of the children sorrowfully said, "We'll miss him." Another said, "If he wouldn't eat so much, it wouldn't be so messy. Could we please keep him?" But Mom stood her ground. "No, I'm sorry, children. It's time to take Laddie to his new home." "Laddie," the children gasped. "We thought you said Daddy."
Oh, yeah. Oh.
And Teresa, she read that particular one to me and said, "I got to have that one for the podcast." She said, "I thought you might."
I actually found 4 of them and ran them by Valerie and my daughter-in-law. They were both in the living room together. Valerie's a tough nut to crack, let me tell you, okay? But of the 4 of them, there was only one that Valerie actually liked. But Nicole liked 2 of them. And now I'm waffling which one I'm going to let the loyal airmen have But we have the whole show. We'll get to that in about another 40 or so minutes. All right.
Who knows? One of them, before we're over, one of them may be appropriate. I don't know. I don't know what you got. All right.
So, hey, here we go. I'll take this since you kicked this off. Released since our last show. As indicated during our last episode, the year-end has been highly productive for us writers and artists, and a bunch of titles have been coming charging down the assembly line to get published, almost all at once. As Rob and I will attest to, we're still doing that today, days before Christmas. Okay,
Yeah.
so first up for December was Blood is the New Black, a new Sam Dunn mystery by writer Fred Adams Jr. While on a movie set where he's been hired to write the music score, Dunn and everyone else witnesses a brutal murder of a female star. Once again, the musician finds himself turning detective to find the killer. Artist Richard Junn did the interior illustrations, and Rob here put together that amazing and really pulpish cover, which I absolutely love. If you like a good mystery, you will not be disappointed. You can't do any better than this, Loyal Airman. So that's the second Sam Dunn. We actually have a third in the file, and hopefully sometimes in 2021 we can get to it, buddy. All right, so what was the second thing we released this month?
Well, then we had All American Sports Stories Volume 2. This second in the series reprints a boxing novella by Derek Ferguson. After that, we have a baseball yarn by Dexter Fabi. And finally, Ron provided a college football story set in 1968. Artist Adam Shaw turned in a stunning cover, and yours truly did the interior illustrations. If you like sports, we hope you'll give this one a try. And the Derek Ferguson story is a reprint, but it's a doozy. It's a heck of a great story, and it's a novella length.
Yep. It was one of those where, and I'm not going to elaborate too much, but it had been published several years ago as part of a boxing series on Total. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who might be interested, I believe it's out of print now. It was done pretty much a traditional print publisher, and so many copies were made. And obviously, that's one thing us creators don't like to see is that stuff go out of print. All right. We like it to be around for a little while longer anyways. And so it was one of those cases where Rob and I had mentioned several times on the podcast, and myself personally, that I really wanted to do more volumes of All American Sports Stories, because again, sports was a really great subgenre in pulps in the classic 30s and 40s. And so good old Derek heard me and one day dropped me an email about, well, I've got this boxing novella. It's out of print. And, is there any chance, you'd like to use it for your anthology series? And boy, did I jump on that fast. I knew the story was going to be great. Derek is one of the best new writers in pulp today, and he did not disappoint. It's called Brooklyn Beatdown. And if you really like, good boxing stories with a heart, you got to pick this volume up. It's that good.
Yeah, all three of the stories have some emotional bit to them. The second one is about these two baseball players that form a really strong bond, and then get put on separate teams. And there's a little bit of stuff about how the whole baseball thing works, which it made it a little tough for this non-baseball. I'm a fan. I'm a fair weather fan. I like to go to the games, but all the keeping track of all the numbers and all that stuff, that's a little over my head and outside my wheelhouse. But other than that, it's a great story. And you got Ron, who gets on the football team in a really interesting way. And I won't give it away, but it's a really good story as well. All of them have some heart to them. So they're all three great stories.
Yep. In fact, I actually quote a saying from an old sportscaster back when I was a kid growing up in southern New Hampshire. This was a gentleman named, believe it or not, Jock McKenzie. And he covered local sports and collegiate sports in New Hampshire. And he had a morning radio program, lasted for about 15, 20 minutes on the morning show, Rob, where he talked about the local high schools and what was going on. And then, like I said, every now and then talk about the University of New Hampshire. And he'd always end his program with this quote, which obviously you hear this thing long enough growing up, and it touched me enough that I wanted to reuse it on the back cover of our book. And it's basically, Jock's quote was, "Next to religion, nothing contributes more to the American way of life than sports." And that was his feelings and his thoughts, and about justice and fair play and giving it all you got. And
Yep.
he was a great guy. He was eventually awarded to I believe, the New Hampshire Hall of Sports Writer Fame or whatever. When he retired, he moved to Florida and couldn't stay inactive, started writing a golfing blog in his 80s. All right. I think he lived till about 87, 88. So again, a little side story of some of the people that influence us, as we go through this world. All right. So, hey, those were the two we got out. We were really kind of hoping to get one more out, which I'm going to mention in a second. But obviously, again, hey, these are the holidays, people. And, despite all the good intentions, it didn't happen. So basically what I'm going to be reading off, Rob and I will be swapping back and forth. There's going to be a lot of titles you're going to probably see come out in January.
Pretty quick. Yeah. Pretty quick after the holidays.
Oh, wow. Okay. Don't drink too much eggnog. That's all I have to say. All right. What's coming next? Bass Reeves Frontier Marshal Volume 4, with stories by Mal Odom, Terry Alexander, Derek Ferguson, and yours truly. Now, we've been talking about this one for the past several months.
Mm-hmm.
With all the stories in and boat covers done a long time ago, all that was left was for artist Howard Simpson to turn in 4 remaining interior illustrations. 4 out of 12. That's what Howard has left. But sadly, they didn't come in. Now, again, Christmas is a week away as we record this show. No, less than a week. It's right. We're recording on a Sunday. We're recording on a Sunday. Friday is Christmas.
Right.
So here's the thing. If within the next 24 to 48 hours, Howard should turn in those 4 remaining illustrations, the book's been proofread, it's been designed, covered, blah, blah, blah. Then it basically is Rob putting in those 4 illustrations and sending it off to Amazon. So technically, this one might be out by the end of the year. Then again, this after Christmas, we have that other week before New Year's. So, so Bass Reeves Volume 4 could still be a 2020 release.
Yeah. I mean, it's been proofread and everything. I dropped in, Howard had sent us some pencil sketches of what he was wanting to do. So I dropped those into the spots where those were, so we could get it proofread. We sent it off to the proofreader. It's all come back. All the writers have looked at their stories. All that's left is for Howard to do those final 4 illustrations, and we're ready to rock and roll. So if it came in the next couple of days, I can have it up Wednesday, Thursday, and it'd be ready for orders for Christmas. But there's no way they'd come in by Christmas. In fact, I placed a couple orders for books a couple of weeks ago that still have not arrived.
Right.
And I've got one for one of our writers ordered some books, and he ordered them. It's almost 10 days ago, and they're telling me they'll come in on the 23rd, which is like that's Wednesday, I guess, that those will be in. So it's
well, the number. The number that I've been hearing recently is, considering all of them, Rob, Post Office, UPS, FedEx, now Amazon. Okay.
Yeah.
The increase in online ordering, all right, and thus the increase in the bulk that they have to deliver is up 75% from last year. That's almost a complete, doubling.
Nobody was ready for this. Nobody. So it does not surprise me that shipping's taking longer, and
Right.
it shouldn't surprise anyone.
No,
I'm
it
just
shouldn't.
saying it's taking a lot longer for stuff to get in. So if you want stuff for Christmas, you should order 2 weeks ago.
That boat's gone, buddy.
Yeah,
boat
that
is
boat's
gone.
in the middle of the Pacific now. So yeah,
All right. Okay.
that's not going to happen. But you can order them, and I should have if it comes in, I should have the Kindle up so people could actually have the Kindles, because you could download those right away. If you're a Kindle reader, you can get them that way. But as for a physical copy, that's not going to happen.
That's totally out of our hands, people.
Yeah.
But please still order. The
And
book
with
will
everything going on in the world today, I'm surprised anybody gets anything done. It's just you turn around and something else is calling for your attention suddenly. So it's just been one of those years. I'll be glad when it's over. I don't know about everybody else.
Hey, look. Okay, so with Bass Reeves, like we're about ready to cross that finish line for sure. We have another book which really came out of the turn in the last week and a half, thanks to artist Chris Nye. So why don't you tell our friends about Rune Master?
Yeah, next up is Rune Master, Shield Maiden's Tale. This is an old-fashioned sword and sorcery action-packed story by Mike Bullock. It's totally in the tradition of Robert E. Howard. Chris Nye is as of now actually he finally got it into me today. The last one came in today for wrapping up his part of the project. Once we have all those illos, which we now do, we'll be talking with artist Steve Otis to paint the cover, which Ron has already done, and Steve has said he will be able to do it, but he won't be able to start for a little while. I think he said January 1.
Right, after the first of the year.
So this one's almost there, but it'll be probably one of the first, if not the first book we'll have out for 2021.
And it is gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, Chris and I really went above and beyond with his illustrations for this book. It was very clear to see once he started turning them in how much he personally was having fun with the story.
He was having a blast. It's obvious that he was having a blast.
Yeah, you can't disguise those kind of things, that enthusiasm, which comes from enjoying something that much. So that, when I first approached Chris about the possibilities of taking this project on and being our illustrator for it, I mean, he didn't know Mike Bullock. The two of them had never met, never associated. And so, he, as a friend said, sure, I'll take it on. But the point is, as you and I both know, once he started reading it, next thing you know, he's like dropping me lines going, I love this book. This book is awesome. This is great. All right. And here come these illustrations. And it was so underscored. All right. Well, obviously, Chris has been posting them online, and which is not our usual practice or habit. We like to keep
but
these
that's
things,
okay.
Right. In this case, it was that overbounding enthusiasm that I never wanted to curtail. And of course, Rob, it becomes infectious, because once Chris is on Facebook splashing that picture to the world, who sees it but Mike Bullock? Now Mike's like going, oh, wow, my book, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be, Mike is doubly enthusiastic. All right. So, I mean, even if it's not out by Christmas, okay? I mean, what Chris did for this book, it's basically an early Christmas gift to both him and Mike. Both of them are flying higher than kites. And again, I know I picked the right guy to do the cover artist. If you're at all familiar with some of the work we've done, about a year ago, Steve Otis came to us and did a cover for us called Behowls the Moon. It's
I was thinking that's who. I was trying to remember who Steve was. I know he'd done something with us, and then it finally dawned on me. Yeah, he's the one that did that great werewolf cover for us for Behowls the Moon.
Right,
just stellar work.
So when you see his stuff, go find him, Google him, go online, check him out. But when you see his stuff, you can see that he has been groomed and inspired by people like Frank Frazetta, Ken Kelly, all those guys who did the great Sword and Sorcery paperback covers of old, which is
Yeah.
exactly what this title and project needs.
Yeah.
So I'm sure after the first of the year, Steve is going to give us something to blow people's socks off. And we're going to be very excited to bring you this new title. All right. Now, after Rune Master, most likely, or then again, it might sneak out in front. Because
what do I always say? Whatever prediction we make, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
And something we didn't expect at all will jump to the head of the line. Who knows?
So we're talking about the Musketeers' New Adventures, Volume 1, continuing the exploits of Alexander Dumas's classic heroes. This one has 2 short stories, and one by Joel Jenkins. Paul Beal and Alan Porter did the 2 shorts. Want to get that straight.
Yep.
But we also have a novella-length adventure by Joel Jenkins, which blew me away. I absolutely love. So that book is assembled. Adam Shaw turned in a fantastic cover. Ed Cotto is wrapping up the illustrations and doing a heck of a job. And I don't know the exact number, but I think we're down to, Ed as well is down to maybe 3 or 4, not many, not more. I think it's probably 3.
Track, so I don't know, but yeah, I think he's done like 8 of them. Yeah,
already, which is 12 a book for anthologies.
Yeah.
So here we go. This is again neck and neck with Bass Reeves, with Rune Master. And remember what we said, the floodgates have opened. All right.
January could be really busy.
All right. What happens after the Musketeers, buddy?
Well, coming along, loping along across the prairie, the Masked Rider, Tales of the Wild West. This one features a Wyatt Earp and a Doc Holliday story by Thomas McNulty, a short Masked Rider story by Paul Findlay, and a novella with this hero by Gordon Demowski. Shane Evans did the cover, and artist Jason Wren is whipping through the interior illustrations, just moving right along. And this, like he said, this one's, like I said, loping along across the prairie and might just catch and pass the other 2. Who knows? But again, everything is ready except for the interior illustrations, which is odd because it's generally the other way around. It's usually the covers that bite us in the behind. So, yeah. But we got a couple of them here. We've got covers for, but we're not finished with the interiors yet. But
and I have to say, again, much to my pleasure and satisfaction, artist Jason Wren actually, when he sent us the last illustration he'd completed, also dropped me a short note saying how much fun he was having with them, and basically said, "Hey, look, guys, anytime you have Westerns ready to go, give me a holler." He said, "This drawing the old traditional, cowboys and the prairies and the horses, and he's having a blast drawing this stuff." So I got back to him. I says, "Hey, definitely." I says, we certainly have other plans for more Western series as we go along. R.A. Jones has one featuring a bounty hunter named Jason Mankiller that he's done several books to. And then we've even got our weird Western series, Six Gun Terrors by Fred Adams. We've got the Dead Sheriff Weird Western, but they're still Westerns. So I'm sure we'll keep Jason rather busy in the coming year.
If he wants to be busy, we can keep him busy. Yeah.
Not a problem. All right. So those are basic titles that, again, one way or another, they're approximately 80 to 100% complete. And so those most likely will be those that you're going to be seeing rolling out of our assembly line come January 1st of 2021. Now, as how the rest of the year is shaping up, we've been talking about various projects along the way, and some of them more, again, sooner than others. Let me just say, coming early is going to be Nancy Hansen's 7th novel in the Pirate Queen Jezebel Johnston saga. This one's subtitled Mastiff. It's a great book. It picks up where Volume 6 left off. She's still in the East, still dealing with Barbary pirates and Arabian cultures and all of that good stuff, caught up in it with an amazing, stellar group of characters that Nancy has created, including two young ladies who become Jezebel's allies in the last book. So
Right.
Mastiff continues that adventure, and right now, Rob is busy at work on the illustrations. He's done the illustrations for all our Jezebel Johnson books. And I just today last night, dropped artist Adam Shaw a short note asking if he could free his table and do the cover for us.
Yeah, he hasn't done a Jezebel Johnston cover, has he?
No, he hasn't.
No, that should be really nice.
I thought you would like the idea.
Oh man, he really does great work. I really like Adam's stuff. I really do.
Well, there was a half a fraction of a second, because you've done two of them already.
Mm-hmm.
There was a half a fraction second where good old Ron does like to say every once in a while, it's the holidays and I'm tired of chasing after people. I'll just ask Rob to do it. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. I mean, Rob has been out straight, Loyal Airman. I mean it, really straight. Not only with this, but private, things of his own and private commissions, some of which I'm very familiar with. So he's been out straight. And so, again, I love your the new interior illustrations with Jezebel Johnson are spot on. I'm really enjoying your different take on point of view compositions. All right. And again, that's the sign of a good artist, people, that you don't get the same point of view all the time, like the straight on shot or whatever. Most really good commercial artists will try to vary things to make them a little bit more exciting and fresh.
Oh, we get bored. Drawing the same thing over and over again, the same scene. So you try and mix it up a little bit to make it interesting. But and this particular book has been really tough because when we were doing the regular pirate stuff in the Caribbean, I'm fairly familiar with that. But then we started with the Barbary Coast stuff and the stuff over near Africa, and I'm going, I don't know any of this stuff, so I had to do a lot of research. And she's starting to pull in some different kinds of characters, and I'm going, well, I don't know anything about these people either, so I've had to do a lot of research, and so it's been a little more intensive than previous ones have been, but that keeps it interesting. But again, you can't shoot that. The camera can't stay in the same position. You got to move it around a little bit to kind of mix things up, make it more interesting. Yeah. But this has been a really interesting series, and Nancy never goes where I think she's going to go, and that's the mark of a really good writer. Yeah. I can read a lot of books or watch TV shows and I'll go, I know what's going to happen next. The character's going to go this way. And 9 times out of 10, that's the way they go. But I don't know where Nancy's going with this. She is, and that makes it interesting for me.
Yeah, there's a sense, again, like I said, as her editor on the series, her and I have had a few exchanges about the possible track she's taking. And I've been reminding her of some points that we talked about years ago, okay? That might have gotten, side saddled a little bit. But for the most part, you're right. She wants to keep, like your art, she wants to keep the characters fresh and alive to herself as well. And that happens more and more when you see these kind of shifts, because you suddenly get that sense that, wow, these characters are so alive. They're not going where Nancy wants them to go. They're going where they have to go. All right.
Yeah.
And believe me, if you're a creative soul, you know exactly what the captain's talking about. All right. Sometimes you breathe enough life into these creations, they have a will of their own. And if you want to write them right, you just hang on for the ride and let them show you what they want to show you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's good character creation when they kind of take over the story and drag along with them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So look, we could talk about a bunch of other titles, and we're going to refer to them, but I do want you to pick up the next agenda piece, because one of the first things we're going to be bringing you in 2021 is a very, very special new Sherlock Holmes collection. So why don't you tell them a little bit about that?
Okay. Yeah, it's got a lot of competition for January, and there's nothing done on it yet so far except for having written the stories. But this is, and he's making me pronounce one of those words, folks. The incunabulum of Sherlock Holmes, and I've looked that word up, but I forgot what it means. I believe it's just a collection of stories, but
Right.
is a new collection of Sherlock Holmes stories by I.A. Watson, Ian Watson, several of which have been published in other anthologies and did not fit the parameters of our consulting detective series. Ian approached us a few months ago about doing a standalone collection, and we love the idea. He's one of the best Sherlock Holmes writers in the world today. And as usual, I'm grabbing onto the art chores on this one and going to run with it. I've already done a couple of ideas for the cover, got the logo designed,
Mm-hmm.
but once I get my plate cleaned here over the next few days, and Christmas is behind us, then I'll start digging into that one and see where that takes us. But and how many illustrations it's going to need. But that I'm looking forward to that one because I love Ian's writing and I love his handling of the characters of Watson and Holmes. So I can't wait to dig into this one, and I hope
I
you feel the same way.
Right. I've read the entire collection. At least one of them I had read in a previous collection, like we said, because several of these are reprints that have been published elsewhere. A few of them aren't. They're originals, but for various reasons, and when we talk about the parameters of consulting detective, they might have elements of fantasy, the supernatural, or a team up with a historical character or another fictional character, all the things that are basically off limits for when we do consulting detective. Because with consulting detective, the caveat's always been for our writers that you give us a Doyle style story. So we can't have these fanciful, vampires or Martians or those kind, or time travel or whatnot.
Right.
But Ian's unfettered here, okay? And that's why this is his collection. As far as that word incunabulum, okay, I'm totally of the opinion that we're Sir Arthur Conan Doyle here. He would grab his meerschaum pipe and beat Ian over the head with it, okay? Because at the worst, he gave us Holmes' case book and files and whatever, all right? So, hey, Ian, stop showing off. We know you know big words. Oh, all right. So, hey, look, that's just some of the titles. I mean, there are other things waiting in the wings for us, all right? And I know this more than Rob does because a lot of this stuff is still in text form, in manuscript form,
right.
that I've had the fun and enjoyment of reading, but we still haven't put art teams together for them, okay? And so you say, okay, so what are you talking about? What kind of things are we looking at? Well, to tick off some of the things that we talked about in previous months' episodes, we did mention George Takei's book about the Great Chicago Fire Conspiracy.
Right.
Okay. I do have Chris Rowding working on a cover for that, but as yet haven't settled on an interior illustration team. So that's still in the wing, but that's that amazing book, which gives us this supposition that John Wilkes Booth survived the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, the chase, and actually set the Chicago fire. Well, there's as pulp as you want to get, right?
Yeah.
We talked about Westerns. We do have another R.A. Jones, Jason Mankiller novel written. This would be the third one in the series, and it's in the hands of our New Zealand artist, Neil T. Foster. Neil had done the illustrations for the first Jason Mankiller and is more than happy and willing to come back to the series and do the illustrations for this one once the new year gets started. So that's in the pipeline. We also have a really, really strange book, Rob. that I'm having a challenge finding an art team for. Okay, we have a writer named Lou Mugin from
Right.
Maine. Okay, Lou had done a story for our giant collection, Legends of New Pulp,
Mm-hmm.
where he came up with this amazing, bizarre concept. All right, that in a computer system was an investigative program that went looking for problems in the computer system. Stay with me now.
Okay.
So he called this program Joe Computer and writes him as if the program's a private eye. The world he lives in, all the programs are characters right out of Sam Spade.
Oh my gosh. What
So
a concept.
well, that's it. But so again, I am trying to find just the right illustrator who can bring a really stylized approach.
Yeah.
Not so
'cause
much
that's what it's gonna
cartoony,
take.
but you
Yeah.
understand, right? That you'd still get the feeling of characters, but not so much characters. Like, what are these people? All right, what's this about? All right, so that's the hunt. I know Lou's a little bit frustrated with me because I haven't been able to do that yet, but I'm still out there, and he's got to know I never stop. The hunt, the search. Howard Simpson, when he wraps up Bass Reeves, we've got another Bulldog Drummond collection
Right.
waiting for him. So
Right.
that's another book that we hope to get going. Nancy Hansen gave us another series, a fantasy series, this time called The Silver Pentacle.
Right.
And she gave us, I've got 2 of those in my files. The first book is now being illustrated by a friend of mine from Southern Colorado, Guy Davis, who's probably a long lost cousin of yours someplace.
We're all supposedly from Wales, so yeah.
There you go, right. But he's completed 4 of the 9 illustrations, and you just saw them the other day. He turned
Right.
the finalized one,
Yep.
and Guy's doing a great
Filed
job.
one.
So yeah, so that's coming along as well. We've got buku Fred Adams novels that I've got to find art for. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, really, some really great books that deserve that. Mystery Men and Women has suddenly, over the last year or so, become a hot ticket with Airship
Really?
27, because we just put out volume 6, and it got some really nice critical review. I think in large part because Derek Ferguson compared it to the old 1970s, 80s paperback series that the late Byron Fries had done called Weird Heroes.
Okay.
And so,
yeah.
right, and Derek saw some similarities in that, but volume 6 came out, and all of a sudden, I've got writers wanting to work on Mystery Men and Women.
I
So
think
as
the
of
sales
now,
on that were pretty good too, if I
yeah,
remember. Yeah.
oh, we got some really unique kind of characters. Dr. Fix-It, no,
Yeah, I
Mr.
love that.
Mr. Fix-It. It was
Mr.
Mr.
Fix-It, yeah.
Fix-It from Greg Hatcher. All right, and we've got another one. He sent us a new one. And then there was Dr. Death from Dale Kozar, which is one
Yeah.
of the creepiest pulp stories that I had ever read. All right. I mean, basically, this guy can keep a corpse alive for X number of hours.
Oh yes,
Right. And the corpse doesn't know it's dead. Oh, Mystery Men and Women,
great story that was.
Volume
Dang.
6. Go find it. You will be happy you did. Believe me. Yeah, great
Yeah.
story. So again, we got a full plate. The end of the year is coming up, and I've been doodly writing down my notes, Rob, on what I liked this past year, best stories, best short novels, best artwork, and whatever, because come January, it's going to be time for the Pulp Factory Award nominations once again. And I'm very happy. I remember when we got off of what were we on, Google or whatever?
Yahoo.
But anyway, Yahoo.
Yahoo. Yep.
We shifted a couple years ago because Yahoo shut down all these.
All their groups were. Yep. All their groups are shut down.
So we migrated over to Facebook, and one of the coolest things we ever did. Our membership up right now. Our current membership is at 376.
That's excellent. Yeah, because we were less than half that
before. Right. We never hit 200. So 376. I fully expect, amigo, that the nominations are going to be across the new pulp field this year and be very
Let's hope.
representative
Yeah.
of what's out there.
I love
That's
it.
always our goal. All right.
That's
So
great.
so there you go. That's it. That's pretty much
Well, that's
what we put out.
interesting because that segues into this question that we got, which you and I discussed this a little bit in emails, but you want me to read it?
Go ahead and read it. Yeah, and that the
Yeah.
whole idea with the
I
award
just did the
was
last
part
piece,
of the
but
segue.
you had a little soliloquy there, but okay. But
Go to it.
all right. From Mark Vander Zanden. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Mark Vander Zanden. Since the Pulp Factory Awards have been well established each year in honoring the best in new pulp of that given year, has there been any thoughts to a new pulp Hall of Fame? Each year could honor the best novels, short stories, artwork, series, characters, or even induct various creators who deserve a bit of long-term recognition. I am curious to hear your thoughts on this subject.
Okay.
Wow.
Let me talk about that real quick, and feel free. Okay. Let's bounce this back and forth,
Yeah.
because as I'm reading it, try to understand again what I just said, and it was a really good segue, a good setup to, discussing this particular topic. Mark was not one of the original 200 that was on the Yahoo boards when the awards were developed. Okay, I think he joined us last year, so I think at the most he's been with the Pulp Factory for a little over a year. All right, and here's the thing with that. The sense I get from his reading is he's not grasping the fact that the Pulp Factory Awards are actually doing what he suggested already, which is the second part. Each year you could honor the best novels, short stories, artwork, series, characters. That's what we do. Mark. That's what we do. Okay.
Yeah.
We nominate in 5 categories every year. Okay. Those categories being best new pulp novel, best new pulp short story, best new pulp anthology or collection,
Right.
best new pulp cover art, and best new pulp interior art. All right. Now the requirements are to be nominated for any of those 5 categories. Obviously, you have to be a member of the Pulp Factory. All right. But your selections have to have been published for the first time ever in the previous year, which is why I recommend to members during the course of the year, try to remind them, I hope you're keeping a little log. All right. All too often, those of us who participate in these things realize it's January. Oh my God, I didn't keep a record. Okay. What did I read that I like? And you're digging into your bookshelf. Where was that short story? Where did it come from? Et cetera, et cetera. So it behooves you to do that. And so we have that already, Mark, in the Pulp Factory Awards. But, okay, what intrigued me about Mark's question was that bit about at the end, all right, aside from the categories, or even induct various creators who deserve a bit of long-term recognition. Okay.
Right.
So here's what happened 2 years ago, Mark. All right. We were at Windy City. We had done the nominating and the award ceremony and all of that. And Van Plexico and Gordon Demowski were for that period of time, and still are right now, the award committee for the Pulp Factory. Hopefully, I want to see that expand with other members.
It'd be nice if they had some help.
Our friend Jonathan Sweet volunteered at the end of last year's nominating, so now we have 3.
Cool.
And I will put out the call as January comes of any member of the Pulp Factory who would like to assist or be a part of the awards committee can write to Van or Gordon and get themselves established, because obviously it's going to be better when we spread the work out and don't put it on a few people. But to get back to my story, they show up at Windy City, Van and Gordon, knowing who the award winners are, having the beautiful trophies. We'd gone down to these glass trophies that are absolutely beautiful. Van had set that up. So they show up with those 5 trophies. Now, Rob and I have traditionally, since we launched these awards so many years ago, been the presenters. And generally the first Friday night of the Windy City Paper and Pulp Con. And Rob and I, after the last panel of the day and before the evening's auction, get 20 minutes to get out in front of the crowds and give our spiel, talk about the awards, and give out the awards to those creators fortunate enough to join us that year at the con. Okay, so we're getting ready to go up to the stage. We don't get on it. We get in front of it. We line up the awards. I have the sheet. Rob has the microphone. And Van says to me, oh, he goes, after you're done giving out the awards, can I have the mic for a minute? And I went, yeah, all right. I mean, sure, whatever, And we go through the regular thing and congratulate all our winners. And we had quite a few there that year, which is always fun because we get them to come up and accept their award and give a little speech. So we're all done. And I signal Van. Van comes over and I give him the mic. And Van then proceeds to start talking about yours truly. And awkward, embarrassing, take any adjectives you want, right? But the bottom line is Van was very kind enough to, be appreciative of some of the work I've done in the last 15 years with New Pulp and what we've all put together, Rob and all of us. I've never done this by myself, okay? I'll never say that. That's not true. But Van and Gordon thought it'd be nice to say thanks. And so they did a 6th award that year, which Van specifically said, we're not going to do this every year. But if we think that there is an individual in the New Pulp community deserving of such, and lo and behold, turns around, grabs a 6th glass award, which read Grandmaster New Pulp Fiction. I didn't know what to say. I was stymied. Rob will tell you he was there. Eventually, somebody in the back row yelled out and said, "You finally found out how to shut Ron up."
Yeah.
Look, it was really a special moment for me. I treasure that little square of glass more than you can know. Okay, because I love this community and I love the people in it. So since that time, that's been several years now, that thought has kept coming back to me. Okay, I do not want to be the only person that has that award. All right. It's like, okay, so you lived your life and, here's a lifetime award because you outlived everybody else. Okay. No, there are more than enough deserving people in our community today. All right. 15, 20 years after the reemergence of pulp fiction in America that deserve recognition, not for a specific book, not for a specific title, but an overall career of what they have done and contributed. So going forward, Mark, and taking what you've said to heart, okay, because it echoes my own sentiments, all right, it's my hope that getting into 2021 to talk to Van, Gordon, Jay, Rob, and start a conversation about creating a special committee that we can find rules, regulations, or those kind of things that ultimately the Grand Master Award will be given out again. And this special committee will be in charge of nominating candidates. And like I said, finding rules and regulations to the point of, this is Ron throwing this out, but, things like, well, you have to have been in the field 5 or 6 years and been published. Okay. You should have won at least 1 or 2 previous Pulp Factory awards. Doesn't matter what the category is. Again, all little benchmarks that identify who you are and what you've done.
And those aren't necessarily going to be the ones. Those are just some ideas that you're throwing out.
Right. So that it makes
a whole different other set of ideas.
Exactly. But what I'd like to establish is amongst the award committee, all right, this idea that this is something every year we should be discussing. All right, we should get the award committee together, do the normal award nominations, votings, and everything. When that process is complete and the award committee knows who the 5 winners are, that's the time then the award committee by itself now sits down and gets together digitally, in person, or whatever, and we start talking about some of our colleagues in the field. And who do you think? Should this be the year we give out the Grandmaster? Anybody have any ideas? And listen to people talk. Listen to people, support their candidates and whatever. And then unanimously say, okay, we think we've got enough. We think this is a value and it's important, and let's go with it. Take a vote and go. Or we might turn around and say, let's wait another year. Or but see what I'm saying? But we need a committee to do that. All right. I want
the more the merrier. The more involved, the better.
Always. The more voices, right? The more voices, the more everybody gets a fair chance and to be heard and recognized. And hey, if I had my way, I'd make hundreds of these and give them out to a lot of people I know that are so more deserving than yours truly. Okay, so thank you, Mark. Basically, you just lit a fuse, my friend. I hope we can keep it going, and I hope it results in some really nice recognition of some super talented people that we all know and love.
Yeah, there's a few names that popped to the top of my list just thinking about it. So,
you and me both. And I'm
there
sure
are some folks out there that really could be very deserving of that kind of an award. So, yeah, that's a good question, and we'll see where it takes us. Yeah, when I first saw your question, Mark, I'm going, I'm not sure where to take this, but my thought was, yeah, I remember the Grandmaster Award, and is that kind of what he's talking about? And I think to a certain degree that's probably close to what he's asking. I think he was also thinking that maybe an overall series that's been around for a while, or an older series that deserves some recognition that hasn't gotten an award like that. That's other things we could talk about with the committee, with the awards committee for the Pulp Factory Awards. Maybe have some possible other awards that we could give out similar to that in regards to other things in new pulp. So that's another thing that we could possibly do. I think that's kind of the question he was asking. I'm sure he's aware of the pulp. Well, he puts it in there. The Pulp Factory Awards is in his question, so he's aware of that. I think he's wanting to see recognition of in a slightly different vein than that. And I think that Grandmaster will work, and maybe we could consider some other things as well. But that's up to the committee and funding and all that. So we'll see where it goes. But that's that question just really set me back on my heels. Just almost knocked me over. So a very good question.
It is. Nothing happens until you start the dialogue.
Right.
And that's what you did. So again, thank you, Mark. Truly appreciate that. And hey, in the future, all you loyal airmen, all members of the Pulp Factory who are kind enough to listen to our monthly show, feel free. Okay. Any kind of questions. There's really no off bounds here. Okay. Rob and I will discuss whatever you want us to discuss. We may not always have the answers, but we're going to do our best. Okay. And again, at least get the dialogue going here. All right. So, okay. That's it as far as our normal agenda. One of the other steps we do before we get to my joke. Rob, anything else this month before we get into Christmas and New Year's?
Well, yeah, about the only thing I have is here's hoping everyone has a healthy, safe, and happy holiday season. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all our friends and fans. Let's remember those we've lost and those we've missed in the last year. It's my fervent hope that with the vaccines coming online, that we'll be able to get together at conventions and shows again by mid-year. You folks in person. I don't know about you, but I'm really looking forward to doing that again. 2021 should be a great year.
Amen. Oh yeah, that's on my list of Santa, buddy. You got it. Oh yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Crazy year. It really has been. And yeah, I'm anxious. I'm super anxious to get back to cons. Maybe like we said, the second half of the year, once it's been distributed. There's this new term now, Rob. I'm sure you're probably hearing, called herd immunity. And I just want to mention it because I was recently talking to a young man who was a little concerned about the COVID vaccine, not just specifically for it, but he's one of those rare individuals, Rob, that usually gets bad reactions to virus shots. Okay, and he's
Right.
leery of taking it. But
Um,
as he and I both talk, the idea being here is that medical philosophy that if we can inoculate the majority of the population to 97%, 98%, then those few who, for whatever medical reasons, cannot get the shot are still going to feel safe
Right.
being in public because
Yeah.
that herd around them has been inoculated.
Right. Right.
So again,
I think
don't do it just for yourself. Do it
right.
for your friends and your
In fact, you're
family.
not really doing it for yourself.
Right.
You're doing it for everyone around you. You're doing it for your
Exactly.
family and everybody. Now, the numbers I've seen show that herd immunity can begins at around 70 to 80%. That's
great.
that's a lot.
That's great.
That's a lot of people. But
Yeah.
the higher we can get, the better. I mean, I am not real thrilled about. I hate shots. Every year I have to go, go to my doctor. I do my thing, and they take blood, and they stick a needle in my arm, and I always talk about I have to go to my happy place. I'm looking the other way while they're sticking the needle in my arm, and I'm going to my happy place. But so I hate needles, but I get a flu shot every year. After I turned 60, I went, okay, I can't put this stuff off anymore. As you get older, your body's immune system starts being less and less powerful. So you gotta give it a little help. So I go and get a flu shot every year, and again, I got to look the other way and go to my happy place. Folks, look the other way, go to your happy place, and get the shot.
Please.
Now, they're starting to show folks that are having allergic reactions.
Yeah.
Some people are allergic to eggs because most of these are usually done with egg or something like them, or there's other things in the ingredients that they're allergic to in the vaccination. Well, that's why they have you sit around for 15 to 20 minutes after you take the shot to see if you have an allergic reaction. And as we've seen, some people, a very small number of people, have had allergic reactions.
Yeah.
But because they're right there in the doctor's office, they can do something about it.
Yeah.
So, and what they've done is, in those cases, is they give them epinephrine shots, EpiPens, because folks that are allergic carry those around. But if you're in the doctor's office, they're right there ready to take care of you. And it's a nasty reaction that your body makes, but that part of it is that your body is doing what it's supposed to do. Your immune system is kicking in. So that's exactly what an inoculation is supposed to do, is to kick your immune system into high gear. Sometimes it just goes a little too high and they have to knock it back down again. But folks, if Rob, the guy that hates needles, can go get a shot, you can too. Please go get it. Let's get this herd immunity going. Let's get back to where we can go out to dinner, where we can meet with friends and give them a hug, and go to conventions, and Ron and I can talk to you and you can talk to us without a mask on. Let's get this thing going, please. I want to see this thing end. I'm sure you do too. Let's get with it here.
Please. Okay. Hey, we're going to wrap this up first thing, but I've got to say, because Rob did, and I do want to take the time to say Merry Christmas to all our loyal airmen, okay? And Happy New Year to you, your family, and all your loved ones. I hope Santa was super great to all of you, okay? Stay well and stay safe. All right.
Right. Okay,
here we go. Joke time. And you know what, Rob? I think because this is our Christmas show, I'm going to give them the 2 jokes. I'm not going to give them one. I'm going to give them 2 jokes. Okay?
We'll see how much of a gift it really is.
Now, this is the one that my lovely wife said, don't tell them. All right. The maid one day, the British maid one day, goes to the lady of the manor and said, Madam, can we talk? Sure, she says. What's the problem? She goes, oh, no problem. I would simply like a raise. Well, why do you feel you deserve a raise? Well, madam, it's very obvious, all right, that when it comes to cleaning the house, I do a better job than you do. Who told you that? Why, the Lord himself, your husband. Oh, and when it comes time to help out in the kitchen with the chef, I'm a much better cook than you are. Who told you that? Once again, your husband. Is there anything else? Well, frankly, I'm told I'm better in bed than you are. I suppose my husband told you that. No, it was the gardener. How much do you want?
Oh my. I can see why Valerie didn't want you to tell that one. That's good. I like that one.
That's
I may
my
have to
daughter.
share
My
that one with
daughter-in-law
Teresa.
did too.
How much do you want? Oh, okay. With that one down.
Okay, this is the quick and easy and safe one. I wasn't feeling all that well a few weeks ago, so at the recommendations of friends and family, I went to see a psychologist. And after an hour with him, you know what? He diagnosed me with having a split personality. Then he went and gave me a bill for $160. So I gave him 80 and told him to get the other 80 from the other guy.
I guess Valerie okayed that one, right?
Yeah, right.
Why am I not surprised?
Oh, Lord in heaven.
Oh, Lord. Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah, folks.
But I like
brings
the
us to the
May.
end of another one.
May joke fun. All right. Hey, look, thanks again for listening in. Episode 70 is now wrapped up. Again, happy holidays to all of you. Rob, sign us out.
All right. This is
It's that guy, the chief engineer.
I'm still tickled by that first joke. This is Chief Engineer Rob Davis signing off.
And as ever, Captain Ron, down ship.